Alright, dude, you can take the video off. I got this one, okay? The Leafs look terrible. They didn't look any good at all against Carolina Hurricanes. They got outshot 406-2, and Garrett Sparks wasn't very good, but somehow it wasn't his fault because the team was actually that bad. But it's okay. It was the second half of a back-to-back. Guys are hurt. Guys are sick. They just clinched the playoff spot. They're a little bit fat and happy. They rested guys because they got the eyes on the prize. The Boston Bruins. And it's not about grit, and it's not about speed, and it's not about any of this stuff. It's about loyalty. It's about your teammates. It's about, are you in? Loyalty. Loyalty, loyalty. That's what it's about, isn't it, Steven? The Hurricanes gave me a free t-shirt. Do you know how hard it is justifying being your friend to other people? Hi! Victory Puppy! Plan the parade! I have no idea what I'm doing. God, you're the This team is ruining my life! Thanks for the t-shirt, you bunch of jerks. Leafs lose 4-1 to the Carolina Hurricanes in what is essentially the biggest layup they've ever gotten. The game against the Islanders felt extra important, and obviously it was because Jake Muzzin, who was well enough to play in that game, not in this one. Which means Martin Marincin got into the lineup, which made me clinch. I was in a really sour mood last night because of the loss, because we've been talking about the Leafs' early season mistakes all season long. Garrett Sparks instead of Curtis McElhinney. And look, time has proven that it has not worked out at all, but I will stand by the logic that it made more sense to go with the younger goalie. Because how many goalies continue to improve throughout the latter half of their 30s? But I couldn't help but look at the Leafs Sans, Jake Gardiner, and Jake Muzzin, a Jakeless Leafs, and going, Martin Marincin's in the lineup, which means Igor Ozhiganov is not in the lineup. Connor Carrick posted on his Instagram last night, and I was like, oh, boy, I sure hope that 7th round pick from Dallas is a doozy. Did you say Dursey? No, I didn't say Dursey is a doozy. Listen, Muzzin is at least good, okay? He's hurt. But this game was a lot closer than it should have been for most of it. Last night was the final broadcast of ice surfing for the season on Sportsnet. And by the way, I've been mentioning it in passing, and a few of you are like, what is that? Ice surfing, only available in Canada for this season, obviously. We have a studio. Jeff Merrick and Jason York are the primary hosts, obviously, and they give me my little dangle desk where I go through Twitter. Obviously, Statman Stan Narodka as well. And basically, we go through all the games in the night between 7 and 10 p.m. Eastern. And I'm watching Montreal pull a rabbit out of the hat against Tampa Bay. Montreal won last night. Columbus blowing it against the Bruins with a little bit of voodoo wizardry and BS. You see that first goal? And I'm watching the Hurricanes outshoot the Leafs. I think it was 17-2 or 3 at one point, and it's still only a 1-goal game. And this is the wild card picture this morning. If the Carolina Hurricanes lost that game in regulation, they would not be in a playoff spot right now. That's how tight it is. It's the difference between the top wild card and not even being in there. So this game is the rested and desperate Carolina Hurricanes going up against an injured and sickly Leafs team on the second half of a back-to-back, fat and happy from clinching a playoff spot. Let's maybe lay off the injury excuse. The Hurricanes without DeHaan, that's huge. But it's okay because despite all that, the Leafs score first. Matthews and Nylander catching the Hurricanes slipping. Oh, I love that this duo is reunited. Matthews over to Willie scored. Yeah, they're reviewing it. All right. Let's talk about this. Because they review it, Willie's over the line, no goal. I have 3 things I want to say. 1, can we figure out the skate on the line thing? And by figure it out, I mean get rid of it! What is the point of the offside rule, okay? Why do we have offside? Well, we have it so that guys won't cherry pick and stuff like that. To which I have always said, you have 5 guys, they have 5 guys, or 4 on 4, or 3 on 3. You have the same amount of players. If some guy is cherry picking in front of your net, either guard them or don't. That's your prerogative. So point number 1 is abolish offsides. Jeff Merrick puts it a lot more eloquently than I do, but he is one of the many supporters of this idea. There are dozens of us! Dozens! Anyway, point number 1 is abolish offsides, but in absence of that, alright, we have offsides. Once again, what is it for? Making sure that you're not cherry picking or whatever. So basically, it is about where you are on the ice. Obviously where the puck is too, but where you are. Alright, I'm William Nylander, alright? Here I am. Here's my foot up. Here's my foot down. Here's my foot up. Here's my foot down. Have I moved? Whether my back foot is on the ice or not, I am still in the exact same spot. As Jesse Blake wisely pointed out on the podcast, the blue line should go to the ceiling. Because why? With rules, there needs to be a reason for it. You're protecting something. You're guarding the integrity of the game. What is this? Oh my goodness, what an unbelievable advantage I have right now. Oh, good. Everything's fine now. Oh no! How dare you go to prison? Oh, okay, this is cool. Stupid! That is point number 2. Point number 3, don't complain about this goal. That was absolutely the right call. He was offside. William Nylander was offside. He shouldn't have counted. He was offside. Now we've talked about get rid of offside reviews altogether. Well, listen. Yeah, here's the thing. We hate offside reviews because, okay, why do we have them in the first place? That's right, because Matt Duchene and that stupid goal against the Nashville Predators, Matt Duchene ruins everything. So the offside review was implemented for egregious misses by the officials. And what we have instead gotten are these like fraction of a millimeter you can barely tell scenarios, and more often than not the player will actually be onside, but because their skate is off the ice, oh heavens, oh gracious, we need to call it back. Basically, the offside video review has been abused to the point where it's holding the game back. It's making it less fun, and it's stupid. It is not the essence of what it was supposed to be. This review by Rod Brindamore and the Carolina Hurricanes is why we have video review. Nylander was significantly enough offside that I'm surprised they didn't catch it in the moment, to be honest. I don't like it, but in the spirit of fairness, yeah, that's the right call. And now look at the conversation this morning. The conversation that I'm seeing is mostly about how the game wasn't very good. It's about the actual game. Now imagine that goal counts, it completely changes the momentum of the game because the Leafs were asleep for the first half hour of it, and it gives them legs, and they find a way to beat the Carolina Hurricanes in this tight playoff matchup. All of a sudden we wake up this morning, Columbus is in the top wildcard spot, Montreal is in the bottom one, and the Hurricanes are on the outside of the playoffs looking in with 2 games remaining. What is the number one topic of conversation beyond the actual playoff picture? That the Hurricanes got jobbed by a blown call. Not a blown call based on a millimeter or two, not a blown call based on a stupid skate being off the stupid ice, a blown call because, well, he was significantly offside. This is the sort of review I don't mind compared to 90% of them. So, it's no goal, play continues on. Late in the first period, Justin Williams throws it on behind the net, and oh! I'm sorry that I yelled. You didn't like that, did you? I'm sorry. Iggy, okay, now you're all just invading. Thank you. My feelings are hurt. You're right. How does that go in? Oh, dude. I'm not sure if it hit Marincin. I kinda don't care. I've had a few people at the book signings recently say, hey, you've been saying Maroon a lot lately, but oof, Maroon! If that goal had a musical career, it'd be called Post Maroon. That goal is if Maroon and Manaja had a child. And we head to the first intermission. Wow. It's not just that it was that goal, and it's not just that it was against Sparks. It had to come after the offside review. And then early in the second, the Leafs take a penalty. It was Martin Marincin, noted Corsi God, taking an interference penalty against Nino Niederreiter, noted Corsi God, an actual good player. Dougie Hamilton with the shot. Oh, Sparks with a big save! Oh, Marat! So the Hurricanes now have 2 goals from behind the net. And like, at least Sparks made the initial save, but oh, the bungee cord idea I had is still on the table. But here's the thing, and I did feel a little bit bad for Sparks, because when that shot goes in, the shots are 17-2. The Leafs had as many shots as the Hurricanes had goals. Sparks had the greatest hits, I suppose, in this game, but he was also the only thing keeping them in it. Now, but that's because he's goalie and he's supposed to stop pucks, but where's the rest of the team getting shots on net? Gone. Made even more frustrating by the fact that at the end of the second period, the shots were 13-12 for the period alone, meaning at some point during the period, as they often do, the Leafs showed up! This whole 60-minute thing, not feeling it. And thankfully, in the midst of that, the Leafs got a power play of their own. Nino Niederreiter, who drew the penalty that led to the Hurricanes' second goal, gets a penalty against Connor Brown on this one. He's tripping. And it's amazing how quickly things can change for the Leafs. John Tavares takes a face-off. TSN barely literally has the Leafs power play graphic up. Tavares shot, stopped by Mrazek, rebound, scores. And folks, let me tell you, John Tavares is a Leaf, and the Leafs are in a game they have absolutely no business being in. And folks, let me tell you, there's only 2 games left. It's not likely, but John Tavares is sitting on 47. He already broke the Leafs goal record for centers in a single season last game. They showed a graphic during the game, at least on the American broadcast that I saw, that Tavares has 19 power play goals. The record for the Leafs is 21. 2 games left. I know one of them's against Tampa and another's against an extraordinarily desperate Montreal Canadiens team, but it is not out of the question at all. So the Leafs, all right. They're in it! Third period, the Rosen-Dermott pairing is on the ice and they're playing more just like I asked for Christmas. I'm not really sure this was Rosen's fault though, because Dermott's got the puck, he's being double teamed, and he's got Kadri there. And I don't know if Dermott just blindly passed it to him or if Kadri called for it, but it was a bad idea. Led to a giveaway, led to Jordan Staal having a wide open shot. But while it is wide open, it is also just a wrist shot from not all that close. And it breezes by Garrett Sparks. I got a hot take this. That was the least forgivable of the goals. First goal, for the love of goodness, be tight to your post, but you could also say it was a bewitched puck that took several weird bounces. The second goal, he at least made the initial save, and it was a bank off of one of his pads. Like, can you at least help me out, fellas? The third one? It's a one-on-one battle between 2 players in the NHL. One was a shooter, one was a goalie. The shooter won. This stat blew my mind from Jeff Girardat from Ice Surfing last night. Jordan Staal, the team he has lit up, the second most goals he's ever had against any NHL team, the Leafs. The team he has lit up the most, the Flyers. Which at least makes sense because at least throughout his career, the Flyers have been in his division! Jordan Staal, he of Pittsburgh Penguins and Carolina Hurricanes fame, has at least been in the same division as the Philadelphia Flyers. It makes sense. He would score a lot of goals against them. The Leafs? How? Leaf killer through and through. Thank goodness the Bruins didn't trade for him. It's 3-1. Hurricanes then get an empty netter, which Babcock challenges for offside because he's petty, and wins because he's petty, and then off the face-off right after that, Dougie Hamilton gets it, shoots it, scores, because petty. Question of the game, am I allowed to think 2 things at once? Those 2 things being Mike Babcock is awesome for actually challenging that after the Hurricanes challenged him earlier in the game, and also that whether he was right or not, challenging a goal for offside on an empty net with that much time left in the game that doesn't even mean anything and you're down 2. How is that allowed? Hockey's gonna be awesome once they stop picking at it. That's it, the Hurricanes win. Hurricanes fans, if I were you, monitor your caffeine intake. Listen, you're gonna be going through a lot of stress this weekend. Like, do you know how, like, caffeine actually works? There's a reason you crash afterwards. Coffee doesn't put energy in you. It just causes your body to release adrenaline, which will, but you're gonna have so much adrenaline pumping through your veins at all times. Dude, you're not gonna need it. One. Try to limit yourself to 1 per day. That's how I would feel, or cope, if I were you. Also, last game of the season, maybe cheer on the Leafs. Questions. Top 3 things for someone new to hockey to know about the playoffs? Wow, Mary. Sheesh. That's a good one. All right, wow. Feistiness, meanness, nastiness goes up tenfold. And that's immediately, that is first round, and officiating usually adjusts accordingly. You get away with a lot more stuff. They still call penalties in the first round, but you get away with a lot more stuff. Second round's even worse, third round's even worse, and then by the time you get to the Stanley Cup final, murder is essentially legal. That's number 1. Number 2, the playoffs essentially become your life. All day game day, all you're thinking about is the game. Then the game happens, and you're just all kinds of chemicals your body's releasing to basically protect you from predators. That's what those chemicals are for, but you're just sitting on your couch and watching a game. Then the next day, you spend the first half of that day thinking about the previous night's game. You will spend the second half of that day thinking about the next game. Then you will go to bed and have dreams about it and wake up the next day and repeat the cycle until you either win or are eliminated. Because the hockey season's long. Maybe it's different for me because I make a video after every game, but when the Leafs have 2 days off, I kind of go, this is nice. Unless there is a very rare circumstance, it's game, off day, game, off day, game, off day, basically the whole way through. And number 3, watch for it, because every single Stanley Cup playoff, one player, I don't know who they are, I'm excited to find out who they are, decides they're a superhero. Thomas Plekanec was a bum for the Leafs. Until the second the playoffs began, and then he was the Thomas Buchanans of old. You know who's still beloved in this city? Alan McCauley. That dude's career high in goal scoring with the Leafs was 9! But one year in the playoffs, the Leafs had a bunch of injuries. They made it all the way to the conference final, and in 20 games, he had 5 goals, 10 assists, and 15 points. And it's fun not just for the team that you cheer for, although that will be your main focus, but every playoff, I don't know who it is, someone always steals the show who you don't expect. And it's funny because we tend to remember who those players are throughout the years. Like, who doesn't remember going, Sean Bergenheim? That was the trippy thing about the final between the Oilers and the Hurricanes, because it was like, I didn't expect any of you to score. How are either of you here? I think as long as you remember that the Stanley Cup playoffs are supposed to be fun and also not supposed to make any sense, you'll like them. I'm frustrated that the Leafs depth pieces, backup and third goalie, 7/8D, look to be too good for the AHL, but are also arguably not NHL players. This isn't a question, I'm just emotional. I know you're emotional, Dan. You're also correct! I think the speed screws everything up. Like, think of the thing you're best at. For these guys, it's playing hockey. Now imagine if whatever the situation is, sped up by 5%. You'd probably be less confident, more unsure of yourself, your timing would be just a little bit off. Instead of taking the risks that you usually do, which make you special, now I'm just talking about hockey, you're playing safe, which then ends up being unsafe. Scouting, man, it's tough, and you can't just rely on points. AHL scoring is some of the most unreliable stuff ever. Dude, based on his AHL scoring alone, when the Leafs called up Zach Hyman, I was like, what? And now he's like a crucial part of the team. Aw, that's mean. What is that, you when we're playing EASHL and I'm on D there, butter? The Hurricanes looked like they were playing high-intensity playoff hockey last night. Will the Leafs be there in a week? Well, first of all, I disagree. The Hurricanes outshot the Leafs by a mile, and that was really good for them early on, but then they sort of let the Leafs back into the game. They caught up. I didn't think they were a big bang and crash sort of team. Dude, the Leafs were resting guys. They played the night before. Like, I don't think this was an indictment on them. Tell you what though, once the playoffs start, that excuse of, oh, second half of a back-to-back, it goes out the window because they're not going to have them anymore. And if they do, they'll be playing a team that also played last night. So if you want to use that as an excuse, well, time's up. That's the last one this year. Ooh, what were your favorite moments related to the Furies? Can I be selfish and say I got to play against Natalie Spooner? It was only ball hockey, but I think that should count. Our team was the Clarkson Cupcakes, and we took on Natalie Spooner and squad in the final, and they won. Because it's Natalie Spooner. She's like so smiley and friendly and everything, and then the second the ball drops, she's like, dude, I had the ball and she's coming at me. I'm like, take it! If you want more on the whole CWHL, NWHL, it is an extremely complicated story. We talked about it at length on yesterday's podcast, and we also had Haley Salvian come on to give us her thoughts. She's been working so hard on the story. Last but not least, Oshawa. See you tonight. I'm doing a book signing in Oshawa tonight. Here are the remaining dates coming up. We got Kitchener on Friday. We got a bunch of dates coming up. I hope to see you there, my friends. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. 2 games left.